Let's be realistic. This is we as a country, let's not give the government a different yardstick from who we are at home. When you are at home and there is a challenge in your neighbor's home, what do? We take a goat, we take a chicken, it's not different. And so we have to participate, all of us, in this collective Harambee we call the Social Health Authority. And we have known that Kenyans are not the same. There's a Kenyan who has very little, there's a Kenyan who can afford much. Maybe they run a hardware, they make some good money. And we want Kenyans to agree to go through this way of seeing who is different from the other. I know there are many people who are pushing us to have a flat rate, or the way NHIF was 500, but that was extremely discriminatory, because you expect a very struggling grandmother at home to pay the same with the hardware owner. It doesn't work out like that, you see. The hardware owner who makes ₦1 million a month can easily pay 50,000 shillings a month, so that 50,000 shillings is the Harambee. Instead of him now, people asking him, contribute for me, that 50,000, if all of us paid it, another one 20, another one 10, another one 5, and then the grandmother who does not have any income can even be sponsored through the mechanism the president has established, then we all get money. But saying that, I don't want to pay my 20,000, I want to pay 500 shillings, yet you get income, that is not right. And that is, it's a mindset thing that we must run away from, because there are Kenyans who get money. The people who do border, there are almost 2 million of them. Minimum, they make at least 1,000, 1,500. It's not impossible for that guy to pay 1,000 shillings a month. I have to implement the law. The law says that premiums are paid per year. There is no single insurance in the whole world that is not paid per year, including if today you go to Jubilee, you go to CIC, you go to Madison, every single insurance in the entire world is paid per year. Why? Because we want to pool two things. We want to pool resources, but we also want to pool risk. So once you pay per year, we know you are here. So instead of waiting for you to be sick, also there are some other things that you see insurances do.
So thank you so much for joining us today. We are here at Strathmore University, and we are talking about financing healthcare system. There have been so many conversations regarding donor funding cut, but right here I'm with the PS Medical Services, Dr. Oluga, and he's really going to tell us the position of the government. First, let's talk about the donor funding. Are we supposed to be making noise about it or not? Let's hear from him. And most importantly, the question of financing the healthcare sector. We know the government has introduced SHA. We've had so many conversations about SHA, but what really is the position of the government? What is the government doing, and what are the gaps that we need to fill to ensure that everyone, or we are a healthy nation? So without so much further ado, let's engage the PS and let's hear the position of the government in this matter. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us. Dr. Oluga, nice to meet you once again. Yes, so let's talk about first why today's event is important. Let's begin from there before we continue.
Yeah, thank you so much, and I'd like to congratulate the Strathmore School, because of these conversations are very important in, first of all, highlighting the issue and creating forums where we could also get a lot of views from partners. We know that the issue about financing health is not just a government agenda. It's an everyone's business. And that is why we are keen to ensure that everyone is participating, and that's why I'm also here, just to recognize the government presence in terms of encouraging more participation from everyone, so that we talk together and we agree on what we can do as a country. Yeah, and what is very important from a government perspective are only two. One is that we are extremely grateful for our friends who we always call the development partners or donors, for helping us move the needle in some of the spaces. We thank them for the long partnerships that we've had, some going up to 60 years, 40 years, 20 years in several spaces, particularly on the communicable diseases front, HIV, TB, malaria, family planning, even issues around health system strengthening. We've had a number of friends of Kenya, not just governments, but also philanthropies, and also multilateral organizations, or what we call the global health initiatives, such as Global Fund, Gavi, UNICEF, UNAIDS, and then such. And we cannot not say thank you. We want to say thank you in a very special way, because they have stood in the gap for many Kenyans, and government has recognized that and facilitated that, and then we have to be extremely grateful. Of course, of note is that the financing architecture for foreign assistance is changing all over the world. You have seen what happened with the United States government work stop order earlier. We have seen the FCDO, that is the Foreign Commonwealth Development Organization, has completely deprioritized health, which means that health is no longer in the agenda of what they think foreign engagement and diplomacy looks like. You have seen a lot of detail in terms of how the Danida is downgrading and finally exiting. GIZ exited way earlier, before 2020. And I think this is a wake-up call, and so we cannot sit on our laurels and not do anything about it. Certainly, of course, this is not a new conversation. I think it's just getting to the point where people think it's a crisis. But from a government perspective, even from the way you look at my face, we aren't worried. We aren't worried because it's not a surprise. I think we have been engaged in this conversation since 2013 on what it will mean when our development organizations finally exit, because we can't rely on their money forever. But to a large extent also, I think Kenya has also been moving towards putting mechanisms to finance healthcare. First and foremost, and I know many Kenyans sometimes when they hear this, the first thing they look at their personal situation, and then they say that is not true. But the truth is that we have moved to the 6th largest economy in Africa, and what that means is that if Kenya goes to with a begging bowl together with another country, the other country will be prioritized because they will be considered in a worse economic situation than Kenya. And Kenyans must understand that irrespective of our personal economic issues, we still are viewed as more stable. And when you are viewed as more stable, it means that you have to come together and push even more. It's like giving Dr. Oluga a bursary versus giving an orphan a bursary. It's the analogy is huge, yeah. And so, Dr. Oluga, even though my money may not be enough, my salary, but I can squeeze a bit more and prioritize and say, with what I have, I think I can get a bit by, versus some other person who is completely not having anyone to depend on them. And so that is also how Kenya is viewed in the global space, because 2021 our economy was rebased to a lower middle income economy. So if you look at the guys who are still in the lower income versus us, they will not prioritize Kenya. But more importantly also is that we have established a mechanism that then can collectively give us the resources that we require to finance our healthcare. And this is the constant pursuit we want to have with Kenyans, that we must be able to finance our own healthcare. Like you cannot, and again I'll do this analogy, you cannot want to eat meat every day on somebody else's money. We are better off eating mboga but on our own money. And so that is really why the Social Health Authority was established, to be a mechanism to resource mobilize. And I want to draw differences with the former mechanism, which was NHIF, which was purely based on people who are employed. So this has a larger net. It has three legs. It has the leg of taxes are coming in, it has the leg of people who are contributing are coming in, and it has also the leg of grants. So anyone who still wants to be a friend of Kenya, who still wants to participate in our healthcare, who still wants to help us at least transition smoothly from the money that they were giving us to where we will now be standing on our own, we have those three legs: the tax that we are putting in the primary healthcare fund and emergency chronic critical illness, the contributions which are coming through the social health insurance fund, which we are taking from people who are employed and those who are not employed by determining their status, and the third one is donations and grants, which is within the law. So the law has captured a full scheme of how we can move forward out of this, what people would call crisis, but what within government we are not calling crisis. In fact, yesterday I received a message from one of the global health experts in the UK who was mentioning that Kenya actually is one of the countries that has transitioned quite smoothly and is positing to transition quite smoothly, because we have, first of all, we didn't panic. Number two, we want to assure everyone who was getting support. And we know so far there has been zero shortage of any commodity, whether it is malaria, whether it is HIV. We have filled in that gap. Even when the Global Fund withdrew 6.9 billion, you saw me the other day meeting the National Treasury. And without shouting, we have assured all the beneficiaries that we are going to make sure there is zero interruptions of services. And this is not just talk. This is true, and I think they know it. I have been with the NEFAC, I've been with every organization, the TB patients, and we've told them we are good. And the other beautiful thing about this is that we are right now also engaged in bilateral talks with the United States government, again to figure out a better way of getting the resources. So our friends, as much as they have looked at other priorities, they are not completely out. So we are looking at, okay, so we know you stopped abruptly, but you're a good friend of Kenya, and so far you saw His Excellency the President met with the Secretary of State, 𝐀𝐿 Rubio. You have also seen myself have been engaged with some of the people who were appointed by President Trump, and we've met them a number of times to try and sort. And I'm the one who has been appointed to lead the technical engagements with the U.S. government. So we are also not in a panic mode. That being said, even that is not going to last forever. We are looking at least for the first 6 months, and then after that, perhaps 3 to 5 years. What is important is that we stand on our feet. And the only way to stand on our feet is to get our money. And the only way to get our money is for Kenyans to embrace and pay for the social health authority. There is no way out of it. You can jump heaven, earth, go to under the sea, come out. We must get our money.
Thank you so much. You've really answered these questions, but allow me to ask you a final question in regard to what we are seeing outside here. You're so reassuring that we are not in a crisis, but especially after the USAID, that kind of aid was cut, we saw organizations coming out and people saying we've lost our jobs and all that. So apart from the beneficiaries, how is this panning out? That's one. Then on the SHA, you've also explained that the difference between SHA and the NHIF, which was purely for the employed, right? But now there's the question of the people that are complaining, the ones that are not employed, complaining that SHA is asking us to pay a whole year package and not monthly like a NHIF used to be. And let me be specific with cancer, especially the patients are saying that for cancer we used to have a limit of, I think, of 1.2 million. For SHA we are only having 400,000 that is per household and not per individual. Maybe what is your comment on that, Doc?
So my comment on that is first and foremost is that the mechanism for people who are not employed to contribute for their health, I think it's very solid. So first is that we have to know that there are people who have economic activities. Economic activity is not just employment. You may be running a shop, you may be having a shamba, you have some chicken, you have goats, and let's be realistic. This is we as a country, let's not give the government a different yardstick from who we are. at home. When you are at home and there is a challenge in your neighbor's home, what do? We take a goat, we take a chicken, it's not different. And so we have to participate, all of us, in this collective Harambee we call the Social Health Authority. And we have known that Kenyans are not the same. There's a Kenyan who has very little, there's a Kenyan who can afford much. Maybe they run a hardware, they make some good money. And we want Kenyans to agree to go through this way of seeing who is different from the other. I know there are many people who are pushing us to have a flat rate, or the way NHIF was 500, but that was extremely discriminatory, because you expect a very struggling grandmother at home to pay the same with the hardware owner. It doesn't work out like that, you see. The hardware owner who makes ₦1 million a month can easily pay 50,000 shillings a month, so that 50,000 shillings is the Harambee. Instead of him now, people asking him, contribute for me, that 50,000, if all of us paid it, another one 20, another one 10, another one 5, and then the grandmother who does not have any income can even be sponsored through the mechanism the president has established, then we all get money. But saying that, I don't want to pay my 20,000, I want to pay 500 shillings, yet you get income, that is not right. And that is, it's a mindset thing that we must run away from, because there are Kenyans who get money. The people who do border, there are almost 2 million of them. Minimum, they make at least 1,000, 1,500. It's not impossible for that guy to pay 1,000 shillings a month. One day out of the 20 days he's working, it's not impossible for them to pay that money for their health, Yeah. And then that becomes the money. If you find all of them, even today, they will be doing a contribution for one of them who has gotten an accident, has a fracture. How much do they contribute? 400,000. That 400,000 is enough to have paid for all of them their social insurance. And this is the mindset we want to encourage Kenyans. Of course, there are those people who they don't get income consistently, and we have something we are calling lipa sha pole pole. And lipa pole pole means that we are giving you the opportunity to contribute based on how you get the income. If you get it weekly, you contribute weekly. If you get it daily, you contribute daily. If you get it monthly, you contribute monthly. If you get it every 3 months, contribute every 3 months. But I think it requires some willingness to go in there. You dial *147, you go to the third option, then you can enter based on how you get the income. So that somebody else pays for you, but then now you reimburse. And it is without interest. It's not a loan. And it is without transaction costs. And I think this we should not allow politics, unfortunately, to poison us. Because this is not a loan, it is not, it has zero transaction. If you go in there and your premium is 6,000 shillings, you will be told pay the first 4 months, the others will be paid for you. And this is also the law. Parliament is the one who passed it, and sometimes we get MPs asking us, what this? Dr. Oluga was appointed, I have to implement the law. The law says that premiums are paid per year. There is no single insurance in the whole world that is not paid per year, including if today you go to Jubilee, you go to CIC, you go to Madison, every single insurance in the entire world is paid per year. Why? Because we want to pool two things. We want to pool resources, but we also want to pool risk. So once you pay per year, we know you are here. So instead of waiting for you to be sick, also there are some other things that you see insurances do to ensure that you are healthy, you are not sick. Because insurance is not just about paying for your health when you are sick. Insurance is about when there is nothing else that can be done, then it pays for you. But more importantly, we want to keep you healthy. Now, if we don't pool the risk is that you who is sick and me who is healthy, another one who is old, another one who is young has paid together. So we have pooled all of your risks. So we put, if there are 100,000 people together, maybe 1,000 are sick, but the 99,000 are not sick. Now, that is the pooling of risk. That is how insurance works. Insurance doesn't work like, now I've paid 50,000, I have to consume my 50,000. That's not the principle of insurance. Yeah. So the social insurance, we are bringing all of us together. So we are not just bringing our money, we are also bringing our problems. So the people who have problems, the people who don't have problems, it cancels out. And then the money that we have can pay for those who have problems. So we are all together. It's really the greatest solidarity you can ever do in your life. Yeah.
All right. Daktari, thank you so much for your time. We've learned a lot from this conversation, and I hope the same, of course, conversation that is ongoing right here, especially you're talking about domestic resource mobilization. I hope you're going to come up with mechanisms on how to do so. But thank you so much and all the best. All right, we've been talking to the Principal Secretary of the Medical Services, that's Dr. Oluga, at an ongoing forum on Africa's financing healthcare systems, and his message is clear that we need to accept that we don't have any external funding and mobilize our own resources. I am Purity Musenzuki. Thank you so much for watching.